All right, welcome everyone and good morning. This is our main meeting of the new Grantee and Staff Transition Committee, and we are again focusing on summer since it's just around the corner. Vic has prepared several resources that he's going to walk through today to get you thinking about summer that you can use over the summer or that you can potentially implement into your program in the fall. So lots of good content we're recording, and I'll make sure to share out the recording and materials shared after the meeting today. So Vic, I'll turn it over to you. And if folks can just put their name and site in the chat while Vic gets going, that would be really helpful for attendance. Vic, take it away.
Thanks, Brittany. I wanted to build on what we did last time, and we're going to go over 3 really basic lesson plans that you can use, and it'll get the kids excited, and it'll help build some communication. There's a strong emphasis on social emotional learning. And one of the lessons, I've cited where it connects to the Iowa core requirements, because it's more of a literacy lesson. So what I will do is I will email Brittany some of the stuff afterward, and we'll have that available for download on the Iowa 21 CCLC website for you. All right, so let me bring up that presentation here. And okay. There we go. Got all these windows. Okay, so we're going to go over some summer lessons. And we want to do something that's fairly easy, I think, using social emotional learning. I want to begin with the organizational principles that were developed by Harry Wong, and he's the author of The First Stage of Schools. His work is very valuable. He provides procedures or routines for the children, and it helps them get comfortable with what's going on in the classroom. And you can vary this in your own classroom. And so what I've got here for you is a link to his 92-page implementation guide. And you can review this, and use it over the entire school year. And it gives you a lot of good tips to get organized. And all you have to do, if you click on this, either on the picture or the link down here at the bottom, you can actually go through and read the entire implementation guide. We're not going to do that now because of time, but that's an excellent reference for you as you try to get organized. So our first lesson is going to build on the work of Harry Wong to get your classroom a little bit organized. And we're going to use, this is a social emotional learning where, you're trying to help the kids develop positive attitudes towards themselves, others, and help them with tasks that build confidence and make connections. And classroom jobs was how I implemented Harry Wong, and it helps students feel at place in the classroom and gives them a purpose. It can really help that shy child who doesn't feel they fit in to develop some confidence and friendships with the other kids in the class. So here's what you would say as a teacher to the students. Good morning, class. I want to tell you that in my class, everyone is important, and we will all be working together to learn this summer. Everyone is important and has a job to do in my class. And I need you to help me with a lot of different tasks every day that'll make our learning fun and exciting. I have a job for each of you. And we may change jobs so that everybody gets a chance at all the different jobs in the classroom. And some of the class jobs include calendar helper, chair stacker, book collector, line leader, paper passer, plant helper, supply helper, cleanup crew, trash helper. Now, before we get started, can you think of any job that I didn't include in my list that me may want to do? So you always want to include kids and get their input because you might have forgotten something. It might be something very obvious, like maybe there's an aquarium and there's fish that need to be fed. And the kids will see that right away and say, oh, we forgot, who's going to feed the fish? Can I do it? So you want to get them involved in this. And then you want to also review the daily activities that you're going to do. So most programs have a weekly calendar. You can go over that with the kids and tell them that they should take that home for their parents. But there's a routine for your summer school program. There's a regular time you start. You'll be taking attendance. Make sure that you explain why it's important for them to be in class on time. Then every morning you'll have an assignment. There might be some cleanup, especially if you're working with paint or you're going outside. There's probably bathroom time. There's lunch. There's cleanup. There's an afternoon assignment. There's cleanup, and then there's dismissal. And with all of those activities, there's probably some jobs that you're going to need some helpers, especially on those cleanup ones. So that'll help you to get organized with your class and make everyone feel like they're a part of that. And this works wonders. I used to do alternative high school, and I had kids, that would tell me, can I take the trash baskets out at the end of the day today? And I'd say, is it your turn today? So, it's amazing. Even what you would think as the smallest job to the student, all these jobs are important. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Can you see how this builds on the work of Harry Wong? Okay. And, we've included access to the implementation guide so that you can learn more about, Harry Wong. And he's, a master educator, has been doing this for over 30 years. And also, when you use the principles of Harry Wong, you're not going to have as many behavior issues when the kids are organized and they know what to do and what to expect in the classroom. Okay, second lesson. Now this one I really like. It's from a young teacher in Colorado. It's really a simple lesson, but it's a powerful lesson because it gets the kids to open up about themselves to you. It's simply called, I Wish My Teacher Knew. And this just shows you, how you could set up the header with their name and everything on there at first. And the instructions, how simple is this? Write down anything you would like your teacher to know about your life. And it's amazing how these kids will, use this assignment to open up. You may find out that, during the pandemic, a grandparent of theirs died, and it was really hard for them. You may find out that, they've got a new pet. It could be anything. So this is a very powerful lesson, and it helps you build a bridge of communication with your students. When the students see this, they think, my teacher really cares about me. They want to know about me. And that's very powerful. And you need to do this right at the beginning of your summer program so that you can connect with these kids. Any questions about this? Okay. You could do a variation of this that's would be, do I feel good about coming back to school after the pandemic? And, that could be another assignment where you get them to open up a little bit. So this is the book it was based on. It's Kyle Schwartz, and she's from Colorado. There's even an implementation guide, and I've got the link there that gives you some more ideas on how you can build on this really simple lesson and get kids to communicate with you. So what do you think? Do you think this would work for your kids? Not real expensive, but it's a way to open up that dialogue. Okay. Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's on the playground. Brittany, can you mute them? Ah, thank you. Okay, lesson 3. And this one is my lesson. It's about the Wizard of Oz. Now, we've all seen this on TV. Maybe you've got the DVD at home. But it's a way to get kids interested in reading and reading for pleasure. This is one thing where we're losing ground. Kids are not reading for pleasure like they used to, and that's long-term, that's a problem with getting kids to be functionally literate. So with this one, you can either show them, bring in the movie and show it to them, or you can even do clips. Maybe you don't have a whole lot of time, but you just want to show them a clip. So let's see if this is going to work.
You don't suppose she could really be sick, do you? Oh, I've got to go home right away.
But what's this? I thought you were going along with me.
Oh, no, I have to get to her right away.
Huh?
Come on, Toto. Come on.
Vic, we're just hearing it. We're not seeing it.
Oh.
I think you might have to do a new screen share.
Yeah, I know why.
To speak in the vernacular of the present, eh? Poor little kid. I hope she gets home all right.
There we go. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, let me go back to the PowerPoint here. Like I lost my place here on that. So give me a second. There we go. So this clip was 4 minutes and 50 seconds, and it's enough time to do a compare and contrast between the movie and the book. And there's a lot of learning in that little clip that we can do with students. For one, you can talk about tornadoes and what was the mistake that Dorothy made. When everybody else went into the shelter, she went into the house and she got hit with a piece of debris. Also, what strength was that tornado? What did it appear? Talk about the Fujita scale that measures the effect of tornadoes. And notice that there's a link here that you can read this book online. And the nice thing about it is, you can do a couple of pages at a time with kids instead of having the entire book, giving it to them at home. You can do, pieces to get them engaged without overwhelming them with a lot of text. So I've taken the beginning of the book and I put it in here, and I've also made some of the keywords that the kids may not be aware of. I put them in bold, and so you can explain the meaning of these words so that the kids aren't, scratching their heads wondering. For example, the garret, that's an attic. And they didn't use the word tornado back then, they used the word cyclone. And you could read this, if the kids are younger, you could read this to them. And if they're older, you could have them read it to themselves. And another word here they may not be familiar with is the word gaunt, so thin that they look like a skeleton. So this is an easy way to get the kids interested in a reading for pleasure, because they probably have already seen The Wizard of Oz, but we're gonna, this lesson focuses on that beginning part of it. So you can also use this with an overhead. If you've got a data projector and a computer, and you could read this through with the class. So a little bit different than the movie, because the movie says there's a tornado. And in the book, Uncle Henry stood up. There's a cyclone coming, Em, he called to his wife. I'll go look after the stock. And he ran towards the sheds where the cows and horses were kept. And Em dropped her work and came to the door. One glance told her of the danger close at hand. Quick, Dorothy, she screamed, run for the cellar. So in the book, Dorothy was told to go in the cellar, but in the movie, no one told her, and she didn't go to the cellar. She went into the house. Toto jumped out of Dorothy's arms and hid under the bed. And the girl started to get him. Aunt Em, badly frightened, threw open the trap door in the floor and climbed down the ladder into the small dark hole. Notice how this is different. In the movie, the trap door to the cellar was not in the house, it was outside. So Dorothy caught Toto at last and started to follow her aunt. And when she was halfway across the room, there came a great shriek from the wind, and the house shook so hard, and she lost her footing and sat down suddenly on the floor. Then a strange thing happened. The house whirled around 2 or 3 times and rose slowly through the air, and Dorothy felt like she was going up in a balloon. The north and south winds met where the house stood and made it the exact center of the cyclone. And in the middle of a cyclone, the air is generally still, but the great pressure of the wind on every side of the house raised it up higher and higher until it was at the very top of the cyclone. And there it remained and was carried miles and miles away as easily as you would carry a feather. It was very dark and the wind howled horribly around her, but Dorothy found that she was riding quite easily. After the first few whirls around, and no other time when the house tipped badly, she felt as though she were being rocked gently like a baby in the cradle. But Toto didn't like it. He ran about the room, now here, now there, barking loudly. But Dorothy sat quiet, still on the floor, and waited to see what would happen. Now, it's another difference in the book compared with the movie. In the movie, what was Dorothy sitting on? The bed. And in the book, she was on the floor. So you might want to get kids interested in saying, what other things were very different in the book? It's almost like you discover secrets that are not in the movie by reading the book. For some reason, I have a little bit of a delay here. Ah, there it goes. Once Toto got too near the open trapdoor and fell in, the first thing the little girl thought was that she had lost him, but soon she saw one of his ears sticking up through the hole, for the strong pressure of the air was keeping him up so he didn't fall. She crept into the hole, caught Toto by the ear, and dragged him into the room again. Afterward, closing the trapdoor so that no more accidents could happen. Hour after hour passed, and slowly Dorothy got over her fright. But she felt quite lonely, and the wind shrieked so loudly about her that she nearly became deaf. At first, she wondered if she would be dashed to pieces when the house fell again, but as the hours passed and nothing terrible happened, she stopped worrying and resolved to wait calmly to see what the future would bring. At last, she crawled over the swaying floor to her bed, laid down upon it, and Toto followed and laid down beside her. Notice that in the book, she was up in the air for hours and hours, and in the movie, it was just a few minutes. So in spite of the swaying house and the wailing of the wind, Dorothy soon closed her eyes and fell fast asleep. Oh, there we go. So questions for discussion. Talking about the characters in the book. Notice that the hired hands were not in the original book at this point. And Dorothy was an orphan. You know, what does this mean? What is a prairie? How is the house different from the book and the movie? So these are all things that you can discuss with the kids. Back in the 1800s, when this book was written, they didn't have the word tornado. It was just called a cyclone. And so, you know, as we learn more about the weather, we develop new names. And this is a great way to talk to the kids about a derecho. That's something that is a new weather phenomena that, you know, came about a couple years ago. And so now cyclones are pretty much things that are develop around the water, where tornadoes are, you know, the develop on land, and then derecho are, you know, tornado-like winds, but without the, you know, the funnel clouds. You can talk about the characters that are not in the chapter. And you can, there's a link here to learn more about storms. It's from the NOAA. And then ask the kids what they think will happen when the house lands. And you can, as an anticipatory for the next lesson, you can say, next time we will find out what happens when the house lands. How is that going to be different from in the book than the movie? So, you know, you get the kids excited about, they're going to learn something new the next day. And here's those wonderful Iowa Core standards that we would meet with this lesson. And the reading level for this book is, 3 to 8, but if it's younger kids, you can read to them and, still get them excited about the learning. One of the big things with reading for kids is helping them with the meaning of words. And that's, 3.4 in the IO core. But we want to make sure that every lesson the kids are learning new words and building those connections. So don't just say this word means this, maybe give them an example too. Kids need to make these connections. Does anyone have any questions? So, this is a nice lesson that is pretty accessible. I'm sure that you all have access to maybe the DVD of The Wizard of Oz, or you can simply click on that link. People have broken up The Wizard of Oz into sections, and you can read part of the book and then, go to YouTube and download a section to go over with them. So you're giving them multi-dimensional learning. Okay, here is a link to all of the books of The Wizard of Oz. And I bet you the kids did not know there were that many books. Now talk about getting them excited about reading for pleasure. If you wanted to know more about the Tin Woodsman, there's an entire book about him. What about the Emerald City? There's an entire book about that. There's a book about the Scarecrow. There's a book about Glenda, the Good Witch. There's also a character that they didn't talk about in the movie at all called TikTok. So, this is a good way to get the kids interested, I think, to, reading for pleasure. And these are all linked to Project Gutenberg, where they have the entire collection available online. Here are some more resources for you to help you with getting kids reading. Now, there's a guide to literacy interventions that work. IPTV has teacher resources. There's some poetry lesson plans on there. PBS tools for teachers. And you can go to some online dictionaries to have a word of the day for the kids. Bob Marzano has some good resources. He has vocabulary games, and he's got a 6-step guide to teaching vocabulary. So just a ton of resources that you can use not only in the summer, but all year round with the kids. And one of the things that has kind of happened is I have a little delay now when I'm trying to move from slide to slide, and I don't know what's causing that delay. Oh, whoa. Okay. I also wanted to give you some sight word resources, especially with the younger kids, and especially when we have a lot of kids that are learning English. Sight words are critical for them learning, the words. 99% of sight, if you learn the sight words, you'll prepare kids for 99% of the words they're going to encounter in print and online. And there's only a few thousand of these sight words that occur over and over again. And it's a good idea to go over them with kids as part of the lessons you do. And there's sight word games you can do to make things fun. I can't emphasize enough how important these are to setting up a foundation of literacy for the children. Okay. And want you to have a great summer experience. Now, does anybody have any questions? Do you think that you'll be able to use some of this during the summer? Feel free to unmute and ask a question. Or if you're shy, you can type it in the chat. Especially, you might be having a bad voice day.
Thanks for your work on this, Vic. It was cool to see the Wizard of Oz stuff. It just reminded me that I want to go watch that movie again. It's been so long.
Well, learning is everywhere. One of my favorite things to do before I, became a certified teacher was I loved to be a substitute teacher, and every day was different. And generally, I would get done with the teacher's lesson plan, and I needed to have things, extra things to keep the kids busy. And, I would always, have activities and things for kids. And as some of the teachers got to know me, they said, well, why don't you can just do your own lesson plans? We're comfortable with, the things that you're doing. And one thing led to another, and I says, well, maybe I should become a certified teacher. But I think these are pretty good principles that'll help you. And right now, we really need to get the kids feeling good, not only about themselves, but good about coming back to school. We want this to be a wonderful experience for them. And if they have a good summer, you're going to have a really good school year this fall. And that's what we want.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vic. Any final questions, thoughts, comments?
I just wanted to say sorry about the gym noise. That was me. My office is right by the gym. I apologize.
Oh, I thought it was the kids on a playground, but
PE.
Comes with the territory. We totally understand.
Yep.
Well, if there are no other questions or thoughts, Vic, I know you'll send me your slides and everything you shared today, and I'll get that and the recording up on the website and out to the group. But otherwise, I think we're wrapping up for today. Vic, any final words?
Just want you to have a wonderful summer with the kids, and do some special things for them. Have an ice cream day and get them an ice cream. Maybe you can have especially when we have these hot days, maybe get them a popsicle. Go to the Hy-Vee and get some watermelon and cut it up and let them have watermelon day. All these things, the kids are going to be excited about, and we want to make it a good experience for them.
Yes, absolutely. Fun and enriching. Okay, well, thank you all for being here today. Like I said, we'll get these materials out to you, but if we don't talk to you between now and tomorrow, have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care.